Good morning, all. This is Aubrey from Crybaby Sentimental Homestead, and I just went out to my chicken coop, and my hens were very happy to see me. When I opened the door, when I opened the hatch, I saw there are no eggs still, mid-February. So that has been the trend, and I'm not going to get into the whole um, like controversy over the feed. I do buy the feed that is on debate, and we have not been getting any eggs. So that is my personal experience. My feeling is it's probably just cutting corners. Maybe there's not as much protein in the feed as usual. As we know that there is a food crisis, and I'm not going to get into the controversy, but I do want scrambled eggs. So I'm going to go out to the front yard and pick some sprigs of rosemary, because rosemary and scrambled eggs is so good. If you haven't done that before, you need to try it. The flavor it lends to the whole batch is just absolutely delicious. So I'm going to be using some cage-free eggs that I got from the supermarket. And in the future, I will film me gathering eggs from my coop, and then from the beginning to end, and also comparison of what the eggs are like when you have your own flock. You'll notice that the yolks for backyard chickens are bright orange versus the ones from the supermarket usually are yellow. So it's a visual difference. So let's go get to this. Make some breakfast. All right. And due to my desperation for eggs, I got this Kirkland brand. There are other kinds available, obviously. I always think it's funny that they say vegetarian fed is a plus. Like, yay, vegetarian fed. Chickens are not vegetarians. Hello. They love to eat insects and small things. So, vegetarian fed. Okay, so you fed them corn. That's awesome. They are not vegan. These kinds of birds like to eat all kinds of things. And if you have your own flock, you'll notice that they act like little dinosaurs as they're running around. So, vegetarian fed, interesting. No hormones or antibiotics. Certified humane, I like that. Certified humane raised and handling, right? And certified cage free. So, seeing the videos that they show on how chickens are raised in warehouses and so forth it's not appetizing. First of all, it's disgusting. So as long as I can afford it, if I have to go to the grocery store to buy eggs, I'm trying to buy some that are not on all kinds of antibiotics. Not that I wouldn't treat my birds if they were sick or something, but you don't want all kinds of stuff in there. I like that it's humane. Now, whether or not humane is sometimes you find things out. But this seems like, of the choices I had available to me, like the best of it. When you buy your own eggs at the store, they have to be refrigerated, and they come nice and clean. When you have your own hens, there's lots of poo, and you have to wipe it off and clean it. But once you clean your eggs, you have to refrigerate them. So a lot of times, if you have a backyard coop, you leave the poop and you leave it on there. It's so gross to think about it that way. But once you rinse them off, you have to refrigerate them. And when you have your own coop, you have so many eggs, usually, that you really don't have room in your refrigerator for all of them. You can do the float test after you wash them off. If they float, then they're bad. And if they sink, then they're good. And they should be shelf stable on the counter for 2 weeks if you're getting them from your own coop. Once they've been rinsed, and if you get them from somebody who's raising their own backyard hens, if they look clean, you need to ask them if they've been rinsed off. Some people are lucky, and I guess their hens are pretty clean on how they produce their eggs, but mine always come out a little poo-poo. So if they're cleaned off, then you keep them in the refrigerator, and if they're not cleaned off, then you can keep them on your counter for about 2 weeks. And then do the float test for sure. These are the eggs I'm going to be using this morning. They are cage-free, certified humane, and I'm going to go outside and get some rosemary. It is so nice to be able to come outside any time of year and grab some sprigs of rosemary. Now these are not going to be as soft and green as they are in the springtime, but I really want them for the flavor. I don't usually waste my time drying rosemary just because I have so much of it out here that all I have to do is walk out here. No labor. Even in the snow, I still have rosemary. Now if I brought some shears, I could do some cuttings. And rosemary, if you're going to do cuttings, it is easy. Take off the lower leaves, scratch it a little bit, and stick it in soil. Water rooting doesn't work very well with rosemary, but if you put it directly into soil and keep that soil damp, then they tend to root better. But I'm going to go ahead and get my rosemary, and that should be enough. So I rinsed the rosemary. We'll be using a little bit of milk, my favorite kind of butter, Kerrygold, and some cheese. I'm going to whisk up some of these eggs in a separate bowl because I keep getting in trouble. My husband says I'm scratching his pans. So I'm going to whisk it up in a bowl separately. I always hate doing that because I feel like it's an extra step, but it does scratch the pan. So I'm going to go ahead and do that first. I'm saving the eggshells for my garden, but they can carry pathogens. So I'm going to boil them and then crush them before I put them in my soil. I put them to the side and I'll boil them later. Here I just have a mess load of eggs because I'm making breakfast for the whole family. And I'm going to go ahead and scramble these up. I wanted to point out how yellow these eggs are, these yolks are. And when you see my hens, when they eventually lay up again, you'll see that they're a much brighter, vibrant color. One trick that a lot of people do is when they're putting their eggs into the bowl, they'll have a separate bowl and do one egg at a time, just to make sure there's nothing gross. Because if you were to have 12 eggs in a bowl and then you put the last one in and it was bad, you just spoiled all of them. So doing one egg at a time is a good idea. Even if you're doing store-bought eggs, I didn't do it this time. I was kind of in a hurry. But that's a good idea to do. So you don't spoil all of your batch. Do one egg into a small container at a time and then transfer it together later. If that makes sense. So I have this pretty well incorporated. It's like a sunshine. Good morning, starshine. Just kidding. Okay, so this is all mixed up. And one of my tricks to make it super like creamy is I add milk. I will add the cheese after the eggs have cooked a little bit. Okay, that looks good. And I have some Kerrygold on the pan, which is going to start heating up in a second. And I used, it wasn't full when I started. I'm going to put these back in the fridge. I am going to keep this container because I can rinse this off really good and use it for my eggs. All right, I will be back with you. And don't forget to add your rosemary. And I'm going to go ahead and incorporate the rosemary in. So the other day, my husband said, it sounds like you're making a cooking video. And I was like, I am not making a cooking video. Anyone who knows me knows I don't cook very often. That's going to be a big change that I hope on making for my life. So my husband was full on teasing me the other day. He said, are you going to start doing like cooking videos? And I was like, only if it's super simple and something that I would actually do, because I am a working mom and I'm very, very busy. I rarely make home cooked food. It's usually my husband. He's actually used to be a chef. So, you know, why would I waste those skills, right? But I like to use stuff for my garden. So I'm trying to cook more often. I'm trying to use things for my garden as much as possible. And things that are super, super simple. So if that aligns with what I'm doing on my channel, like gardening, homesteading stuff, super simple, time saving, money saving, if it aligns with what my goals are, then I'm going to go ahead and film. So super weird, kind of ironic, because I'm not a chef, but this is one of my go-to favorite breakfasts, and it's going to be really yummy. And that butter is heating up nicely on the skillet. And if you're going to have butter, Kerrygold is so good. Not that I am recommending that people add butter to their diet, but if you're going to have something like that, having something that really hits the spot and then having less of it, I think is the kicker. All right, we'll see if I can film this going into the skillet. I need some equipment. Okay, and my husband said I can't use a fork on his pots. So I guess that means I have to use a spatula. Looks pretty. This is not Martha Stewart Home Living or a cooking network, so I'm using what I have. I don't have a brand new stove or brand new spatulas and forks and all that stuff. My dishes are mismatched, and I really don't care because that's not where my values are. And I'm using a spatula, Jose. I'm not using a fork. Don't worry. Everything's going to be okay. Okay. So I'll let this cook for a little bit, and I'll be right back with you. I don't add a lot of salt when I'm cooking because I think it's satisfying to add salt to taste when you serve yourself. But I did add a little bit of salt here. I won't add black pepper because my 8-year-old doesn't like it. I will add pepper to my own, but not to his. And that's fresh rosemary from my front yard. Herbs in the grocery store, it's like for a little tiny packet, like a fresh packet, it's like $4. And you bring them home and they're rotten in a day or two. So growing your own is really the way to do it. Just don't spray your herbs with anything. When this warms up a little bit more, I'll add some cheese. The most important ingredient of breakfast is coffee. And you can see I'm a true prepper. See, parenting style survivalist. Surviving parenting. Coffee to go with breakfast. Yum. Okay, it is starting to get quite hot. And it's warm enough to add the cheese, but I don't want it to stick. One of my reasons why I don't cook is because I often burn things. I have a little bit of ADHD, I think. I get distracted very easily, especially if it takes a long time for something to happen. Like I've actually been known to let water burn. Like in a pot, I have the water boiling and go do a load of laundry, do something else, get distracted, come back, the water's gone, and the pot is burning. I'm not kidding. So, I have to make sure I don't burn this, and I'm going to add some cheese and make a little bit of a mess. So the rosemary is really infusing into the eggs. Even the bites that don't have rosemary in it are going to have the rosemary flavor. There's nothing like homemade scrambled eggs. It doesn't taste as good in the restaurants, even when you pay a lot. Definitely better than fast food places for sure, right? But even fancy restaurants that charge you $15 for breakfast do not come out with eggs that taste this good. Trust me. Simple. Eggs, a little bit of butter, rosemary, some milk, a little bit of salt. Okay, I'm going to keep stirring. I'll be right back with you. And finally, the moment I've been waiting for. Just kidding. There is breakfast. Yum. This is amazing. I love it, you guys. Hopefully you'll try out this recipe adding rosemary and hopefully your own farm fresh eggs. Backyard hens lay the best eggs. Again, I'm using my cage-free Kirkland. And I'm going to save those eggshells from my garden. I'm going to boil them up and grind them up so that they can be in my garden. But this is breakfast. Nothing like it in a store. Delicious. All right, everybody. Keep gardening. Keep frugal. God bless you all. Subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.